Welcome to Walpole United WFC.
Hello and welcome to Walpole United WFC with me, Anthony. I'm joined by the ever-present John Foster. How are you this afternoon?
Yeah, really good, thank you. Yeah, not too bad, especially after the midweek game that we went to, which maybe we can talk about at the start. Might as well throw that one in there as well.
Yeah, no, brilliant. Brilliant for the future of the club. Hopefully it's the start of things to come for all our age groups leading up to the seniors. So top stuff, brilliant by Charlotte Healy, and may it continue.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
The atmosphere was great as well. A fair few people turned out. I think there was more Birmingham fans than Man United fans, but I think a lot of the Birmingham fans were actually players, coaches of like different age groups, etc. So I think Birmingham did bring a fair bit of support, but Natalie, as always, outsang them all.
exactly. I was going to say, if Nat was there, they still wouldn't have been as loud as them. So, but we'll go on to last week's results now. You had Villa, who lost to Brighton 1-0. You had Man United, who beat Leicester 4-0. You had Arsenal beat Birmingham 4-2. Reading drew against Spurs 0-0. And in the Conti Cup, there was a slight surprise. Chelsea 1, Man City 3. Now, prediction-wise, I won 8-6. No correct score lines, but we did put West Ham, Chelsea in last week's results, which obviously at the time of recording hasn't been played, but it won't affect the scores because we both had a 3-1 prediction for that. So I'm just going to touch on a couple of games. I'm going to start with a Conti Cup game, Chelsea, Man City. Game of two halves. Slightly, City would have felt even hard done by going in at half-time 1-0 down. Penalty decision that they didn't get. But then second half, it was all Man City. Now, what do you think Gareth Taylor said to the players at half-time? Because it's not the first time it's happened. It happened against us the week before.
I think in recent weeks, they have been pretty much level anyway. I think it's just the fact that Chelsea got off to such a great start to the season and City got off to a poor start to the season, and that's why the points gap is there. So I think, City would probably go into any game with a bit of confidence based on the last few weeks. So, it might just be a case of Gareth Taylor just saying, just carry on playing your game and chances will come. Obviously, being a coach, you'd be looking at what Chelsea were doing wrong. But on the radio, on the way back down from the United game, we listened to the first half on the radio. Was you in that car, Anthony? I can't remember.
Yes, I was. Yeah. Well, I was in the car with you.
So it sounded like Chelsea got the better of the first half, but of course, the second half, City was starting to take their chances and limited Chelsea a little bit. So, thoroughly deserved. I know we predicted Chelsea, but I think we did also say these games could go either way. And this is one of those instances where maybe the slight underdogs did win, but I can't take anything away from City. Good players on good form at the moment.
Yeah, no, I agree. City, as we've discussed with City, they're getting their squad back, the main spine of it, minus Steph. But they just we knew City would get back to the level that we all know. We just hope, as United supporters, that they've done a bit too much damage to catch us. But it will be interesting, especially with what's been going on with the club. Chelsea is in the club with the sanctions, so we don't know what that's going to bring. like how they move on. But that's for another show. I'm sure there is a show lined up
Saturday. So tomorrow, Matt and
there
Ben
is. Okay, yeah, no, that's good. That'll be a good one to tune into. I believe they're doing it before, but no, that'll be a good listen. So do tune into that one as well. Before we go on to one more game, I just want to say congratulations to Chelsea midfielder Melly Lupos, who announced that she is expecting a child. So just like to congratulate her. So we're all about being considerate for every team. We want the best for everyone. So just thought I'd put that in there. But before we go on to this week's fixtures, Manchester United 4, Leicester 0. Comfortable. We expected 3-4. We said 3. But the one question I do want to ask, and why you think it is the case, Katie Zelem, she gets a hard time by fans, and if you look at the stats this season, six goals, 6 assists. You look at that, why? And you think, why are people on her back like she's the scapegoat?
Mm-hmm.
Because other than Tooney and Alessia Russo, who are Russo and Zelem are on the same amount of goals and assists in joint combination, there's no one that's contributed more to the team and the scoring and goal making than Zelem. So why is it that she being made the scapegoat? Or
I think to be fair, I think it's got a lot better now. I think a lot of fans have been sat down because there was picking at every little thing, where the biggest thing you got to look at is clean sheets and goals. She scores goals and she gets assists. And for about 7 games on a trot, every game she played, we kept a clean sheet as well. So she's proved that she deserves that starting 11. And that's okay. It's okay at the start of the season if you've got your favourites. If you like Barwisa and Jackie to start ahead of Zelem, that's absolutely fine. Everyone's got their opinions and their favourites. But I think halfway through the season now, or slightly over halfway through the season, I think fans will have to turn around and say, well, Katie has actually performed. And the most important statistic throughout the game is getting goals. If you get goals, you win games. It doesn't matter any other statistic. You're going into too much detail there. So Katie's proved that she's also resilient as well. So she will have known at some point she would have probably had some bad games, as of every player, where we've turned draws into losses or wins into draws, and she's come back from that and still scoring and assisting. So I think just some fans just don't like to admit that they're wrong, do they? And they prefer to see their favourites start every game. But Katie's there telling them what's what now.
Yeah, no, you've pretty much hit the nail on the head. I agree. She's obviously been in for some flack, but I agree the performances speaking for themselves, which is great. I think people seem to remember the bad stuff, like the misplaced passes. We did briefly discuss it, and the casualness sometimes, which has occasionally led to goals, but it doesn't outweigh the positives. But for some reason, they seem to remember the bad stuff, unfortunately. But full credit to Katie, and she is the goal scoring corner queen. So her last 3 goals from corners.
Mental.
I don't know what they've been doing on the training. Maybe she took one corner in training at LSV once and realised that if she hit it right, that because it's different, isn't it, in the women's game? The goalkeepers, they're slightly smaller, so if you hit it right, and they're not in the right position, even if they are in the right position, sometimes it's very, very hard for them to get it. So I don't know where what they've been practicing, but they've clearly been practicing them at some point.
Yeah, if you have a word after the show to Matt, he will actually give you a bit of detail. And it's, to be fair, he knows an answer to that. But I don't think it's a surprise to say that we needed to work on our corners, and that's what they have been doing. If you always try and get a corner or a free kick into a danger area or on target, if players miss it, then it's always going to stand a chance of going in. And obviously she's been doing that. I agree as well. Obviously the goalkeepers are smaller, so if you hit it high up in that corner, then it's going to be very hard for a goalkeeper to reach it. But also just having that people on the back post as well, having our own players in the right position, fighting for it as well. It means a lot. So, you know, to do that 3 times in 2 games is at this level as well is really good.
Yeah, no, it is. It's brilliant. So that rounds up last week's results. Obviously, the scores after round 16 are currently 139 to 113. But moving on to this week's games, where we've got a bumper fixture list. We've got 9 games in total. We've got a full list on the weekend of fixtures, and then we've got 3 midweek games. So we will start with the early kickoff, which is a Reading v Man United. It's always a tough place to come, Reading. This will be no exception. Reading did stop the rot after a little wobble last time out after 3 previous losses. Do you think they can build another run of good results?
I think that they can.
Or do you think that they're going to have a bit of a wobble up and down?
Yeah, I don't think that, you look at United and City, you start thinking to yourself, well, potentially we can win every game until the end of the season. I don't see that from Reading, but I do see that if Reading gets a win here, then all of a sudden they'll start thinking that they're back in this top 3, and they probably think that they're in this top 3 anyway, because if they do win us, it's slightly in their hands, isn't it? So if they do win us this weekend, then all of a sudden they're catching us up. So I don't think that they'll go on a streak to get top 3. I just think that City and United probably have too much over the next 7 or 8 games. But as for this particular game, I am a little bit worried, and I think from now till the end of the season, this is the game, apart from Chelsea, of course, that I'm arguably worried about the most. You don't know what you're going to get with Reading, but you do know that they're going to get stuck in. They haven't had a load of success. You know, you look at the league table now, and I think after this amount of games, the league table doesn't lie. They are pretty much a mid-table team, and I think that's pretty much where they are. But yeah, I am slightly worried about this one.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with you. Reading and West Ham were my 2 worries, other than Chelsea.
Yeah.
But we'll come on to West Ham because there's a lot of talk about that. But I think as long as we play our game, I do think we'll be fine. We just need to be cautious. We need to get stuck in, make sure we do win our battles. Because if we don't win our battles, then Reading can cause problems. We've seen it earlier in the season. They beat Chelsea. So by all means, it's not a given. And it's going to take a lot of hard work, and we're going to have to be at our best to beat Reading at a nice early game. So it's a nice early one for the Manchester-based lot travelling down, but all the more it will still be as loud as normal, even though it is a bit earlier. But now, I don't expect too much to change from United. I still think they'll try and play the way they've been trying to play. Reading will try to make it tough. For me, it's only going to be a case of a goal. A goal wins it, not by 1-0, but by 1 goal each way, because it could go either way if you're not on your A game. But for me, I think the game's going to be only 1 goal. So, what about you? What do you think? Are you prediction-wise, what were you thinking in your mind?
I think it's going to be a very, very tight game. I think we'll just take a couple more chances than what they will take. So I'm going to go for a 2-0 win, but that doesn't mean it's comfortable. I just think that we'll probably score a couple, as obvious as it sounds, and just hopefully just keep them out. So it's not a comfortable 2-0 at all. I think it's going to be a very, very hard fought 2-0 where you can come off the pitch at the end thinking that was a much needed, real good, hard fought win.
It's nice to see you're a bit more confident. I've actually gone I've gone for Reading to actually score, but I have gone for United to score 2. So I reckon 2-1.
Yeah.
I just think we'll have that little bit more quality in front of goal, and it will show. So for me, but we do sometimes, like we mentioned, switch off sometimes and I think Reading will get a few chances and I think they'll take one of them. So that's why I've gone for 2-1. But that's Reading Man United. We will come on to Everton Leicester now. Now, Everton didn't play last week due to meant to be playing Man City, but Man City were in Conti Cup action. But they did get the win against Villa last time out. Will they be confident of another win here, or can Leicester basically secure their WSL status for another season with a point or 3?
This is the hardest one to predict for me because I can see it going absolutely anyway. I can see Leicester pinching it because I think that they could potentially deserve it coming after Christmas. I can see Everton just being the better team and just showing it on the day, or I can see it just being a stalemate. So this is so hard to predict. I think Leicester will come in here a bit more relaxed now. I think don't get me wrong. I think they'll be up for it. That's not what I mean. I just think that the pressure's kind of off now. They're 8 points away from safety. They know that if they win this game, they'll actually go above Everton, I think. Or if not, they're very, very close. So potentially Leicester could have a bit of fun in this game and think to themselves, right, no one's probably expecting us to win. Everton have potentially got the best players. Let's see what we can do here. And that might actually work in Leicester's favour. Everton, I said last week, Everton does not want to be that team that finishes just the one team above the Leicester and Birmingham, because that would be a failure. And at the moment, it looks like that's where they might end up. So Everton will be really up for this. It's just whether or not they'll have that quality. So this one's really hard to predict.
Yeah, no, like you said, it could get either way. I'm more siding with the home side with home advantage and the win last time out. But like you said, out of all the games we will be talking about, I agree with you. It probably is going to be the most difficult one to predict because we, like you said, Leicester are a bit more relaxed now, which they can afford to a bit, but they don't want to get complacent. It's not over till it's over. It looks very unlikely that Birmingham are going to do anything to stay up, but you're still going to be professional and try and get them points as much as you can until you know you're safe. But like you said as well, Everton won't want to finish above Birmingham and Leicester. They'll want to finish above Villa as well. Otherwise, well, regardless, I think Everton are going to put this season down as a disappointment. They had big ambitions at the start of the season.
Yeah,
like we said, it's gone wrong. They're on effectively a third manager of the season, but they'll be thinking of next season. I think, like I mentioned last week, but it could go either way, like you said. So, prediction time. What are you going to go for?
Yeah, I've gone back and forth. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 on this one. I was thinking this could be the game where Leicester could actually get out to the bottom 2, but I just don't think they've got that quality. Not quite. I think Everton will fight hard. So I think it's going to be a 1-1.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. That would be a good result for Leicester, I feel. But I've gone for another 2-1 win, but to Everton. I just think Everton are just gonna have that something in these recent couple of weeks and a bit of confidence from beating Villa last time out. So Leicester, they've been shipping goals, so the confidence will be slightly lower. But by all means, it won't be a 3-4-1 game. I just think Everton will scrape it slightly, and that's why I've gone for 2-1. So now we'll go on to Spurs, Man City. Now, Spurs, they're unbeaten at home, but can you see the run continuing with the form City are in, especially with how impressive City have been in recent weeks? And if they are going to win, how do they do it? Obviously, put the ball in the net, yeah.
This is a game where United fans are just hoping that City are going to drop points so it doesn't go to the last game of the season. Or at least in our hands in that last game of the season. I know it's a long way to go yet, but you look at City's fixtures and this is going to be one of the most toughest ones now. So if they don't drop points here, you'd expect City to just continue and build that momentum and also gain that confidence as well and that belief that they'll continue winning and probably will slip up in at least one of the next 7 or 8 games. So City will have so much belief coming into this game, but it takes more than belief to win. And I think being away at Tottenham, we know how good they've been this season. I do think City will be the strongest team, and now it'll be like City's to lose. But and I don't think Tottenham will win. So I am leaning at the moment towards a City of a draw. How are they going to win? I just think City just need to keep the ball, pass it around and do what they do best. Pass and moves. They're a very well-established team that's played together for quite a while. We know what City are going to do. We know how dangerous they are. They know if they have 70 to 80% of that possession, well, at least 70% of that possession, they'll create chances. And they've got strikers to put them away. So I think that they'll just go in there and be patient. I don't think there's going to be too many Tottenham fans that will get on the City fans' back too much. So I think City will just want to play their game, and then they'll probably come out on top.
Yeah, no, I pretty much agree with you. You mentioned about City's running. I'm going to mention Spurs' running. Their next 3 games, I believe, are City, Arsenal, which is at the Emirates, and then Chelsea. And then I'm pretty sure they've got to play one of them again. So I think they might have to play Chelsea again. So looking at that fixture list, do you think Spurs are going to crumble away in regards of 3rd, 4th, or do you think they will get some surprise results? Hopefully keep their unbeaten record for at least one more game.
I think what Tottenham's actually got against them at the moment is the fact that, like you say, they've got 3 games on the trot where they're going to be underdogs. We've got Reading, West Ham and Everton, where we should be picking up at least 7 points. We need 9. We need to aim for 9, definitely. But this could be where they don't necessarily crumble away. It's just the fact that the way that the fixtures have fell, they've got about 3 very, very awkward games where we've got 3 more favourable games. And again, I'm not taking anything away from Reading and West Ham, but obviously we are going to be favourites. So I don't think they'll necessarily crumble away, but I can't see Spurs picking up more than 4 points out of that possible 9, which I think will be too little for them. As for our prediction, I've gone for a City 2-1.
Yeah, and we've had our first match. I've gone for City 2-1 as well. I know it feels like I'm going 2-1, 2-1, 2-1, but I promise they're not all 2-1 predictions. I just think, City will have a little bit too much, but Tottenham will be compact, make it hard. But I feel like City will break the defence a couple of times. Unfortunately for us, as much as I'd like to say, I think Spurs will win 3-0, that would just be me being slightly deluded, maybe crazy.
It could happen, Anthony. Just, you know, it could happen.
Optimistic.
Yeah.
But nah, City, unfortunately, I think. But hopefully, one of them 4 points that Spurs do get is against City. So we will see. We will see. So we'll move on to Chelsea, Aston Villa now. After last week's disappointment in the FA Cup, we'll be hoping to get back to winning ways at West Ham, which was last night, obviously, before we recorded the show after, so we can't bring that scoreline. But against Villa, they'll be expecting another win, aiming to keep the pressure on Arsenal in the title race. Is it a case of how many? And I'm only going to talk on it briefly. Will what's been going on in the back scenes of the club, do you think it will affect them in any way? Or do you think that they're so professional, Emma Hayes will be like, look, we know it's not ideal what's happening behind the club, but we need to get on results basis. We need to keep getting it and keeping the pressure up on Arsenal to win the title.
I don't know if it will affect them just yet. I think when we kind of know a little bit more and the players know a little bit more, then they've got a bit more to think about. I know there's been reports that's come out yesterday, but no, I don't think it'll affect them too much just yet. I think obviously Emma Hayes will be focused on what's going on the pitch. What it might do is affect their plans and their planning more than anything. But I think Emma Hayes is professional enough to be able to go out there and say, look, this is what we need to do to win the game. And the players will still want to win the game, of course, as well. So even though it might be in the minds when they're off the pitch, I don't think it'll be too bad going into this game. And Aston Villa, well, you know, I can't see them getting. I think it's a bit disrespectful to say how many, because I do think Villa on their day can be very well organised at the back. We saw them at the start of the season when they played Arsenal. They held it 0-0 up until half time. And then obviously Arsenal made a couple of subs and started to do a few things different, and they went on to win. So we know Arsenal could keep it compact.
Did it against City as well?
Good point. Yeah. So even though I do expect a Chelsea win, I do think Villa will put up a fight. Yeah, I would go for a Chelsea win.
Okay, so you don't think it's going to be as? You don't reckon it's going to be as easy as it should be, or?
I think Aston Villa will battle. It's just whether or not they can still keep them out. You know, I don't think that they'll give up if you get to 2-0 down. I think they'll stay in it for as long as they can. Chelsea will have the quality there, so Chelsea will probably create a few chances and score. One or two of them, if not more. We kind of know that's going to happen. And I've never really been overly impressed this season with Aston Villa going forward, or the creativity or the lack of creativity. I've always defended Aston Villa in there, defending and staying strong and staying tight at the back. So I do obviously see Chelsea winning, but I just can't see. I just think Villa will just keep on battling all the way through.
Yeah, no, that's one thing Villa will do. I suppose it all depends how long they can keep them out for. But then, even if they can keep them out for 45 minutes, it has been proven that they can fall away in the second half and still lose 4-5-0, which they did do against Manchester City earlier in the season. So even if it is 0-0 at half time, Chelsea can look at that and think, well, it was 0-0 here, it was 0-0 there, and they still managed to get the 3 points. So they won't panic. By all means, look at the Leicester game. It took 81 minutes for Leicester to concede against Chelsea. So they won't panic at all, even if it is 0-0 going into the final 10 minutes. But scoreline-wise, what are you thinking?
I'm going to go for a 3-0 Chelsea, because I do think that they'll end up breaking them down. I just don't think I think they'll have plenty of the ball, but I just don't think that they'll break them down as easily as we may think. So 3-0, I think, would be a good result all round, to be honest.
Fair enough. Oh, you've gone very gone quite kind. I've gone for Chelsea to win 2-1. No, I'm joking.
Oh,
No, I've gone for Chelsea to win 5-0. I just think when they're on it, I think the problem is once Villa do concede 1 or 2, that normally the downfall, and that's when the goals do fly in, and they can get them from anywhere. Chelsea, we know that. So even though there are issues behind the scenes, I don't think, like you said, that will affect them. I think a comfortable 5-0 win I'm going to go for. So moving on now to Birmingham v West Ham. This will be West Ham's second game in 3 days, but they will be confident of getting 3 points here, with Birmingham pretty much doomed for relegation. The Hammers will probably think this is their best chance of getting 3 points with games Chelsea and United sandwiched in between them. Would you agree? It's a funny one because Birmingham have got the home advantage. West Ham are a tough team. Can you see Birmingham possibly getting a point or even a win? Or are you a bit like me sighing towards West Ham?
Yeah, I'm going a bit towards West Ham on this one. And yeah, I can understand, 2 games in 3 or 4 days could be tough. But, you look at that league table with the games that West Ham have got in hand as well. We speak about potentially what Reading can do and, Spurs, if they're contenders. What happens if West Ham win their games in hand? They're right up there as well. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to do that because they've got a tough running, but I think it's something that's just worth mentioning that maybe because their games in hand, that league table looks a bit deceiving and West Ham are actually doing better than maybe what we think. So I do fancy West Ham here. I'm going to go for a 2-1. I'll try and defend Birmingham as much as I can, but I just think that West Ham's going to be too much up for this one. So, yeah, I think this is going to be another game that slips by Birmingham, getting closer and closer each week. And I think West Ham will maybe raise a few eyebrows and get back up there.
Yeah, no, I'm agreeing with you pretty much. I've gone for 2-1 West Ham as well. And Birmingham will look at this and think, yeah, this is their chance of getting some points. But it must be very, very hard for a team like Birmingham, especially their players. How do you motivate their players? Are they playing to try and get a better deal with someone who is going to be in the WSL next season? How do they motivate them? Are they just playing to be like, well, she shouldn't be in the Championship, we'll have her in the WSL? Is that sort of the case now, would you say?
Potentially, yes. But I still don't think you want it on your CV that you've been relegated. I think that performances against Arsenal has proved that things can happen. Even last week losing 4-2, they were still in that game. I think they pulled it back to 3-2 at one point, I think so, or something like that. So
yeah,
there's still being glimpses throughout the season of what they can do. It's just maintaining it all the time. So I think the managers and the coaching staff will just keep on at them saying, look, the season's not over yet. If you keep on, if you put everything that we've worked on throughout the whole season into one game, you'd probably win. And I think Birmingham will be looking at this game for an opportunity to do that. I just think that you come up against West Ham, where I think West Ham's still got a bit to fight for just yet. So, if West Ham went on a bit of a losing streak and then they haven't really got much to play for, then maybe Birmingham could, really go for West Ham. But I still think West Ham have got a little bit to play for. So I think West Ham will just have a little bit too much for them.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. And it, as hard as it must be for Birmingham, 8 points, they just have to continue being professionally and trying to get as many points as they can to make it, even if there is a slight slim chance. But yeah, it's very difficult. But
even if one of these teams don't make top 3 at Champions League, or they don't finish in the top 4, it's still some sort of achievement to say that you've finished the best of the rest, and I think that's what West Ham can potentially be going for, if not higher at this moment. So, I think the West Ham would have too much, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I agree with you, fully agree. But it's a 2-1 like you, John. So the last result of the weekend, the sixth fixture, will be Brighton v Arsenal. Wins last time out for both. But is there only one that comes out on top here? Or can Brighton pull off another famous victory? We know they have got the potential over big clubs. We've seen them beat Chelsea before. So we know Brighton on their day can beat anyone. They've beaten us. And we've seen Arsenal can potentially not turn up. You only have to look at Birmingham.
Mm-hmm.
If they do the right things, work hard, and find Arsenal on a bad day, then we know Arsenal can be vulnerable. But could it be a case of that, or are you expecting it to go with form? Brighton have been a funny side, haven't they? Like, they did win last time out at their ground against Reading quite comfortably. So they'll be confident, hopefully getting another win here. But what's your views on the game?
Yeah, I think this one's in Arsenal's hands, to be honest. I think if they, I could never really see Arsenal conceding. That's the problem. I think they always seem quite strong, in the midfield and at the back. So I don't think they've conceded that many this season. I think only Chelsea have conceded less than them. 3 games ahead of Chelsea. So even though there's a massive points gap, we've got to remember that Chelsea's obviously got them games in hand. And I just think that Arsenal are probably going to get this win. I can't see Brighton getting a goal. If they do, I think it's only going to be the one. And I know Birmingham managed it as well, but that's kind of fluky, really. You don't see Arsenal conceding too many. I do think Arsenal have a little bit too much for them. And I suppose you could say, we've mentioned what's going on at Chelsea at the moment. Will Arsenal look at this thinking what you said, thought, Anthony, right? Chelsea's minds might be elsewhere. Let's really go for this now, because we know that if Chelsea win all their games in hand, they'll win the title. But Arsenal will be looking at it thinking, right, we just keep winning, and maybe Chelsea will slip up at some point. So, I see this as a game where Arsenal's going to win.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, but I'm a bit more surprised about. I think Arsenal. I'd be interested to see how many clean sheets they've kept, because I always think they're one of these teams who always does let an occasional goal in. So with my prediction, I have backed Brighton to score 1. Like you said, you can only see them scoring 1, which I agree.
Yeah.
Set piece, possibly. They did it against Arsenal at Boreham Wood.
Mm-hmm.
So we know Brighton can score against Arsenal. But prediction-wise, what are you going for?
Yeah, I'm going to go for 3-0. I just concede. I don't think it's going to be easy. I don't think it's going to be easy, but I just think that they will get chances and they will have possession. Even if Brighton do score 1, I can see Arsenal threat the game, scoring 3.
Maybe if I put the Arsenal goalie under pressure, she might make a few mistakes, because I am going to go to this game with United being on the Saturday. So I've already joked that I'll stand behind the goal, but Arsenal aren't the team I'm worried about, so she'll get a night off. So she might think, oh God, but I'll be like, don't worry, Man United are my priority. You're not going to get any abuse from me.
Are you going to turn up in your Man United top, Anthony?
I might do, actually, yeah.
Just let her know. You don't even need to say anything. Just let her know that you're there, and it'll be in the back of her mind.
Yeah, but we will move on to the midweek games now. Some of the rearranged fixtures that have had to be caught up with COVID postponements and that. So we will start with Everton v Chelsea. Chelsea expected to win here, but Can you see Everton pulling off a shock? Could you see this potentially being one or two shock results of the season, like with the remaining fixtures left, or is it a case of how many it is for Chelsea? Because when they previously played Chelsea, they did get beaten quite easily, but if I remember rightly, they just played themselves into trouble. Were 3-0 down in about half hour, I believe, and then it sort of stopped. Then they changed tactics. But could Everton get anything in this game at home? Or
I don't think Everton will have enough, to be honest. I think it's going to be very hard to get a couple of goals past Chelsea. Like I said, I think they've only conceded 6 goals this season in the league, so that's even harder. I don't think Everton's got enough whatsoever. So for me, I just think that Chelsea are going to still think they're going to go from strength to strength. They're going to continue to win all their games until maybe there is some unrest behind the scenes, more so than what's happening now. So yeah, I think Chelsea will feel fairly comfortable going into this game. So yeah, I'm going to go for a Chelsea 2-0 win.
Interesting. They've got so many players they can use, Chelsea. So with these games in hand, it always benefits the bigger teams. And we will discuss that in the final game we talk about after the next game we do talk about. But I've gone for a 3-0 Chelsea. I just think Chelsea are one of these teams. If they get a couple of early goals or first half goals, they're one of these teams that can easily get another 2 or 3. But for me, I just think Chelsea will have too much, even though it is at Everton. There have been shock results in the WSL, but I feel now this is Chelsea's only thing to concentrate on, with them being out of the Champions League, whereas Arsenal have still got Champions League, which is against Wolfsburg. I think that's pretty soon. They've got to put their eggs all in this basket if they want to win a trophy this season. Yeah. So they'll have that in the back of their minds, and I just think this will be another comfortable win for Chelsea. And I do think they will get full points. So for me, it'll be a good week for Chelsea. They'll get another win. So I've gone for 3-0.
Cool.
Now, the penultimate game that we're going to talk about is Man City Reading. So tough week for Reading, and it don't get any easier with a midweek trip to City after playing United. Do you see Reading suffering another defeat, or
it doesn't get easy for City?
We've seen City lose at their stadium a couple of times. Obviously, things have changed in it. Their players are back, and in theory, on paper, we probably would side with Man City to win quite comfortably.
Well, you said it doesn't get any easy for Reading, but it doesn't get much easier for City. You got Spurs and then Reading. We talk about our 2 games, West Ham and Reading. City's got it tough as well. City will need to use a squad, won't they? And that's where they're lucky. They have got a good squad. I don't think this one will be easy. I think they'll have to fight for this one, just because of a lot of games in a short amount of time. But obviously, Reading are going to be going through a similar situation. So I do fancy City to get the win, but I just don't think it's going to be easy. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, see, I think it's going to be easy-ish. I know Reading can be tough, but I think away from home, I just think City will have too much of them. We saw when Reading came to us, we only won 2-0. They could have had a goal, but I just think they must be so confident now. They must I think in the back of their minds that they'll be looking at our game against Chelsea. I think they'll be thinking, win all our games, and that's the one we've got to hope United slip up in. So
I think it's hard to predict these games because obviously there's a game before these games. So, for example, if City was to maybe win Spurs and in that time United lose or whatever, then City's tails will be up and they'll be flying.
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah,
it's absolutely true. It is difficult when you've got so many games before it, but what can you do?
This week, yeah.
I couldn't believe it. There was nine to talk about.
We're doing well. We're hanging in there. We're doing well. I've gone for a City win. I have gone for 3-1, which will be, I think, a massive achievement to win Tottenham and Reading in that week. I think they'll obviously. We know that they've laid down a marker anyway, but I think if they do get them 2 wins, then United know that there just is no room for any error whatsoever.
Interesting. I like it how you think City are going to come and concede at theirs, but Man United aren't going to concede. So, interesting prediction there. But I've gone for 3-0.
Okay.
I just think they're just getting back to full health pretty much now. They've got, Steph's out, but they got players. They got Lucy Bronze, they got Alana Kennedy, Demi Stokes, Greenwood, all them players. So they're not an easy cookie to crack. And I just think I can't see Reading score, but it's football, isn't it? You never know. We could be talking next week and be like wishful thinking, but we could be going like, after City losing 2 games in the last week, are you confident United will get top 3? But or could easily. But no, I think another comfortable win for City, 3-0. So moving on to the final game, and I've left United to the end. 3 games in 6 days for West Ham. With a squad like West Ham, can you see this taking a toll on West Ham and being beneficial to United, where United only have the 2 games and the bigger squad? Do you think that this is going to be 1 game too many, especially 3 in 6 days, and we don't have the squads of the men's do? So it's going to be about rotation for West Ham. They're going to have to rotate in certain games. Yeah, they might rotate in the Birmingham West Ham game, and that's what we maybe should have mentioned when we talked about Birmingham West Ham. We could have been like, well, Birmingham potentially could get a win because West Ham could be thinking, we can slightly rest a few players, but because they've done that, they catch them off guard because they're going to want their best team for Chelsea and Man United. But even then, the squads aren't big enough to have that luxury, especially with the middle clubs and the bottom clubs. So do you think there being 3 games is going to take its toll on West Ham?
Yeah, I think this is a good time to play them. And if it was just a normal Sunday game where they just played every Sunday, then I would see this being a bit harder. I don't know, I've been bigging up West Ham throughout this show, and you'll have to bear with me. Doorbell, I'll have to leave you 2 seconds.
No worries. Oh dear. Looks like John's got a parcel there. It's probably his Anne Summers package. So hopefully he won't bring it on camera because we don't want to know what that is. But hopefully he'll be with us. Bear with us for a minute. Talk about bad timing coming up to the end of the show. But no, like John's been saying, I agree. I think that with the squad that West Ham do have, I think it will take their toll, and I think it is a brilliant time to play West Ham West Ham can be a tricky place to go, especially this season. Their manager, Ollie Harder, has done good for them, so it won't be a tough one. I was just...
You'll love this, Anthony. You'll love this. So I've just had...
was it your Ann Summers package, no?
No. You know what this was?
That's what I told the viewers.
This was the most random thing ever. So a milkman just rang my door saying, "Do you want us to start delivering milk for you?" I'm like, "No, I work at a supermarket. I get my milk whenever I want to get my milk." What's the chances, seriously?
I know. I was just discussing how I agree with you. I think it will affect West Ham having so many games, but they have done a good job at being tighter at the back under Ollie Harder. But what prediction-wise, what are you going for?
I can actually see us. I can see the players impressing the fans on this one. I think I'm going there slightly more confident than some fans, thinking that we'll actually put a game on this one, and I think we'll put them to the sword a little bit. I'm going to say they're going to concede a goal because I'm just never 100% sure with United how it's going to go. And I said that we'll keep a clean sheet before, so I think we're probably due to concede against a weaker team. But I can see us playing some good football, and as you mentioned, tiredness for the West Ham game. So tiredness for West Ham players. I'm going to go for a 3-1 on this one, and I think it'll be an enjoyable match to watch. Evening kickoff, a lot of travelling. I don't know how many United fans are going to be there, but it's going to be a bit of a tough one in that sense.
I'll definitely be there, so
you will be. Yeah, that'll be good. That'll help the players. No doubt.
Believe Nat will be there as well, so double trouble.
Yeah, me and Connor will be there. It's my day off, so I'll be able to go with Connor, and I'm sure. I don't know if Andrew can go because it depends what time we can leave work. But yeah, we'll see. But there'll still be a good bunch of us.
Exactly. And I've gone for 3-1 as well. Like you said, you don't know with United. They do concede some silly goals at times, but it is what it is. The 3 points is the main thing. As long as we can get 6 points in the next 2 games, it's one game at a time. And I do think it's a big advantage that we are playing West Ham as their third game in 6 days, and with us having an 11:30 kickoff on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely helps us, doesn't it? An extra day to recover, and we can train on the field, practice things we might have done wrong, or so. Whereas West Ham have to concentrate on, they get over this game against Chelsea, then they got to go straight onto Birmingham, and then straight onto United. So it's one of them. I do think West Ham will suffer for that, unfortunately, with the backlog. But it's good news for us United fans if that is the case. So that does wrap up this afternoon's show. It's been a bumper-packed show for sure. What's on the rest of the week, John? Is it Matt and Ben's show, the usual Saturday?
Yeah, that's correct. So obviously, Friday Night Fan Forum tonight. We've got the Saturday Night Live talking a bit about Chelsea and other stuff that Matt will be posting out as well. Match reaction on Monday for that game, and usual match day content on the Sunday, the day before it. So got a fair bit going on here and there, supporting local teams as well. It's great to see that we've continued to do that and growing up and down the country as well. So we've got Barry who's jumping on board, going to some Stevenage games. So you might see a few tweets from Barry to do with Stevenage. We know that Stevenage are very appreciative of what we're doing to help them as well. So it's great to see that we're getting up and down the country doing that when United aren't playing as well.
Brilliant. So that wraps up the show, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and do make sure you put your predictions in the comments and your comments about when we were talking about Zellum. That would be great. Be great to hear from other fans what their views are on what we have been discussing. But until next time. I hope you enjoy your weekend, and it's a happy weekend for United fans. Take care, guys.